what determines what is good comedy? What is funny to you? Basically, it's something that you have to ask yourself when you talk about any comedy. As for me, that's very subjective. If something is funny, even if it's unintended, does it really make it that funny? In this case, I'm going to say yes because Eromanga Sensei is trash. It is one of the trashiest trash of the entire year, and I find it hilarious for that very reason. Eromanga Sensei is a story about a light novel writer who wants to bang his not blood related little sister, while other girls around him fall for him and want him for themselves. It's a dumb little harem series brought to us by the guy that did Aura Emo. You know, that old school anime series that pretty much kickstarted the light novel boom in anime? That's basically the same thing as this, just remove the element of light novels. You know, I can't tell if he's intentionally doing this or it's by accident, but either way, it's kind of hilarious how these two series are almost exactly the same when you get down to brass tacks. Anyway, this series is funny, basically for how bad it is, and that's why I love it. From beginning to end, with its premise, as well as the actual show itself, it's not really something that's meant to be groundbreaking, it's just meant to sell more waifus to people. And honestly, that's not a problem in this case because it's just so bad it's actually funny to watch. Speaking of interesting to watch, Kimono Friends is an interesting series. It's something that got super popular in 2017 for some reason. I had originally watched the first episode when it aired and didn't really care much for it. First and foremost for its janky 3D animation, but I managed to force my way through the rest of the series after it got super popular to find out what exactly how people were seeing in this thing. And I found a generally enjoyable series with a lot of heart and passion behind it, despite being seemingly destined to be a failure from the very beginning. I mean, it's an anime that's made for a mobile game that got shut down before the anime even premiered, with such a small budget and skill on 3D animation that didn't even have the didn't have the skills to make the tires on the bus move. But it turned out to be a well-made anime with a lot of funny moments that's kind of improved by the janky 3D animation, making it funnier in the facial expressions. Anyway, the basic plot is about a pair of friends exploring various areas around Japari Park and learning about the world around them. It's generally fascinating to imagine what happened here with the somewhat fascinating surroundings, like a post apocalyptic world where you don't really see any humans, just these cute animal girl people. Honestly, a lot of fan theories say that the staff used this anime, that the video game shutting down, at least the mobile game shutting down, helped inspire the anime somewhat creatively. And I honestly like that idea, even though I don't think the timeline matches up appropriately for that to happen. Honestly, this is a pretty good anime, and I can understand why people got into it and it got super popular. And again, there's generally a lot of effort and passion into it. And while it's not laugh out loud hilarious, I still did find it pretty generally funny, even points where it was supposed to be funny. Again, those facial expressions are kind of hilarious to watch in hindsight. I'm gonna be honest with you, when it comes to anime that I ended up liking and hating, 2017 was full of a lot of surprises for me personally. And one of the biggest ones was a little series called The Gamers. At first I was thinking it was going to be another simple high school club anime just using games as a centerpiece instead of something like sports or books or whatever you would use, or superpowers. Instead, the first episode, the main character rejects the idea of a club and instead it becomes a teen romantic comedy about a bunch of teenagers dragged along by emotions, misunderstandings, and poor phrasing. And I love every minute of it. Now, normally I hate this crappy love triangle drama shit, but here it's generally hilarious. Every misunderstanding isn't really used for drama, but it's used to add another joke onto the pile of these characters are kind of dumb teenagers because they are dumb teenagers. And hell, it does the one thing that sets the bar higher than most other romance anime or romance series in general I've ever seen. And the fact that the main couple actually does get together in the middle of the series and we explore how they are as a couple. Again, this makes it leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of romantic series, not just anime, but some Western works as well, where the main crux of the story is just a romantic pairing getting together before the series ends. And now that can go on for several seasons at some point. Honestly, amid the rather hilarious comedy, the various characters actually start making you give a damn about them, and it leads to a pretty satisfying but open ending. mainly because light novel adaptation. But again, there are a lot of laugh out loud moments. Special mention goes to the board game part that opened up the second half of one episode. Don't want to say how much of it was, but that's to say if you ever seen a board game fuck with someone, you haven't seen it yet. Well, it does delve to. Well, it doesn't really delve too deeply into the whole gaming references that gaming references outside of the whole opening bit. It's a pretty satisfying amount of gaming stuff for a gaming focused anime that doesn't want to be completely absorbed by games. It focuses more on what it means to be a gamer than the games themselves, and I honestly feel that does work a bit better than the other way around. Also, the teen melodrama is quite hilarious, and I love every second of it, if I didn't mention it before. Studio Trigger is becoming one of, if not my favorite anime studio that's currently working right now. But Kill la Kill and Space Patrol Luluko-chan are generally being great series, and Kill la Kill being one of my favorite anime to come out in quite a long time. And I've been in love with Little Witch Academia since I saw the first OVA. Yeah, this was originally a set of two OVAs, one sequel to the first OVA, before it ended up getting a TV series that was announced at the end of Luluko-chan's final episode. And it was a fantastic shock to fans, myself included, as I really desperately waited this series to show up. So when it did show up, I was in love with it. The pacing is very similar to Kill la Kill, with the series being split into two halves, or two seasons. The first half being rather episodic joints, exploring the various characters and doing some world building stuff in the background, and the second half being where the plot really takes off, going towards the final epic finale. The plot focuses on Ako Karagi, a young witch with dreams of living up to and meeting her idol Shiny Chariot. Now, Ako is a pretty inept mage, lacking even the basic magical ability of flight, while practically failing every class she takes. Like most trigger works, or at least the very notable ones, the main draw here are the characters. Ako herself is a pretty likable protag, rushing along with a lot of energy and passion for magic while dragging everyone else behind her, and even her mistakes are generally hilarious. You're not really laughing at her too much, you're laughing with her in some scenarios, even when she does fail. There's even a bit of mystery to the overarching plot with magic slowly dying out across the world, as well as some prophecy about the shiny rod, the wand Ako finds at the very beginning of the series, being able to revitalize the world's magic. And of course, being a trigger work, this is a visual spectacle filled with some of the most beautiful animation and some generally touching scenes. And of course, again, as it's in the comedy category, this is a pretty damn funny series, often using its rather great energy for some grand scenes and some really great gags. Again, a lot of stuff involving Ako using magic, as well as transformation stuff. And special points goes to Susie, who is pretty much great. Overall, this is another worthy addition to Studio Trigger's catalog. Another great series by another great studio. It's pretty expected by this point, honestly. You all should have seen this coming. If you've seen the 2016 list, Konosuba was what I call the funniest anime in 2016. In 2017, its sequel in Season 2 is pretty much guaranteed to be just as hilarious. Konosuba is a complete parody of the overblown isekai genre, like ReZero is a deconstruction of it, using generalized tropes to make fun of formulas and types. And of course, like Season 1, the biggest draw are the shitbags that are our main characters. Kazuma is as lovable of an asshole as he ever was, Aqua is still a troublemaking little troll, Megumi is an adorable little meme lord, like if Michael Bay returned to an anime girl, and Darkness is, well, darkness in all her perverted glory. Konosuba is a generally hilarious series, and it does great right off the bat. Practically everything about the first episode is built up upon from the events of Season 1 for a grand and hilarious trial that's run like on the planet of hats, where Kazuma was practically spit roasted due to his various actions across the first season. And again, like Season 1, every time they seem to do something to make their lives better, the universe just wants to kick them down for no other reason than just because they're there and they're assholes. I don't want to say any more because I don't want to ruin any gags, but the opening piece is hilarious and great, and special mention goes to an episode later in the series where they're in a caravan and some stuff involving some birds. If you know the series, you know what I'm talking about. But again, Konosuba is another great season of Konosuba, and again, this is the funniest anime of 2017, barring Gintama's continued existence, which, we have to put Gintama in a special Gintama corner because it's too funny.